Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we're going to be doing a review for The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 6. This one may be the best episode of the season. And 2 set the bar pretty high, but I feel like 2 was very much about driving the story forward, where Episode 6 is really just about filling in the world, the gap, those years in between that we've missed, to really show the motivations and put everybody in the right mindset. Um, there are some fantastic performances, and this may be the last episode we ever see Pedro Pascal in. But man, he brought it, just swinging hard. Bella Ramsey as well. They just such powerful performances, in a world where if you haven't played the games, like, things are gonna get rough. I haven't played the games. I know a little bit about what's going on, but man, I'm ready. I can't believe we only have one more episode. I think one of the standout things in this episode were the sets, the recreation of some of the moments from the video game that, from what I've seen and heard online, read online, they are very accurate to the games. Which I feel like it's an interesting balance to find between how much of this do we want to just do straight from the games, where are we going to take some liberties with some, because this is an adaptation where we're going to take some liberties and expand some areas. I feel like the beginning, the cold open, is definitely something that they've expanded on, and I just really enjoy, especially seeing at the end in the making of, Neil Druckmann and Craig Mason talking about how they kind of come up with things. And of course, Neil Druckmann came up with the original games and the story, but now Craig Mason, and they're working together to expand some areas and find some things that'll just make this a better, more cohesive story in the TV medium, because it doesn't, video games don't fully translate one to one. Cutscenes and following just one character sometimes is not the same as what you can do on TV. So yeah, really, really cool stuff. All right, let's jump ahead. We're gonna get into spoilers.
Forgive you for this, but I would like to try.
All right, so let's get into spoilers. Let's talk about first that cold open. We flash back to Texas in 1983, where we meet Joel's dad, who's portrayed by Tony Dalton. You may recognize him as a swordsman from Marvel, from Hawkeye, and as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh, this is a great, great casting. We see a young Joel, we see a young Tommy, and we see their relationship. How Joel has always kind of been this protector, and that's kind of his mo. The reason that he does a lot of things is to protect those that he cares about. Tommy got in trouble for buying some weed and getting into a fight. At this moment, we learn that Joel's dad is a cop, and of course he's in trouble. And you know, Joel is ready to take the punishment for his brother, whatever that may be. And it's insinuated that it's something that, it's probably pretty violent, but instead we get this beautiful moment of Tony Dalton just maybe trying to be a little bit better. He talks about how all he wants to do is try to be a little bit better than his dad. And this, of course, this sentiment definitely comes back later on in the episode. So we have a time jump into 2 months after Joel and Ellie arrived into the town. Joel's talking to Seth. He finds some Legos, and he trades those for something for Ellie. We see that it's Ellie's birthday coming up, and that's why Joel was doing that. We see Joel fix the guitar, and there's just like, this show just takes its time. This was a pretty long episode, and it just takes its time doing, like, we see Joel crafting like a little piece of the guitar out of a bone, and he's engraving it with the moth. Um, and then we cut back to Joel being kind of a surprise that Tommy's bringing Ellie. She burned her arm, and this is how we know that Ellie had the marks, right, from the infection, and she burned her arm because she wants to just be kind of normal, have a normal life, wear short sleeves and stuff like that. So she did that so she would hide her infection scars. Then the next morning, um, Ellie wakes up. They have cake, and Joel sings a song from Pearl Jam, Future Days. And so this is all building on the stuff like, we know that Joel showed Ellie how to play the guitar. We know that Joel, um, like, he's very interested in raising Ellie and allowing her to be like a kid and have a regular childhood, even though she hasn't. So every time we catch up is going to be around Ellie's birthday. So on our, we then jump ahead to the 15th birthday, or sorry, to the 16th birthday, where Joel takes Ellie to the museum. If you play the games, you probably know the scene. They go to the museum. They talk about being patient because Ellie wants to start training to go on patrol. They go into, they see a T-Rex, which is cool because yeah, can you imagine growing up in a world like this where you can't just go to the museum and you, like, school is different, right? You don't just learn the same things that you will learn. You don't learn about dinosaurs or whatever. You don't get to learn about space exploration. But yeah, Ellie goes to the museum with Joel. They see a big thing of the solar system. They get into a ship. They have like a whole space adventure. It's really, it's just really heartwarming how much Joel is doing to try to give Ellie some sense of normalcy, or what he would remember as normalcy, right? Then we jump ahead to her 17th birthday, where Joel, he's surprising Ellie, but instead he catches Ellie in her room smoking weed with a girl. This is kind of like, we already knew that she had kind of gone out with somebody before, so this is a little bit of that. There's a phrase that Joel's like, "Oh, so you're giving me all the teenage shit at once, right? Like, just trying to do everything." But I think Joel is trying to understand that he's trying to be a better dad. But even then, like, Joel doesn't know. Like, he didn't know up until this point that Ellie liked girls. Like, he just doesn't fully understand. This is where he later on goes to see Gail, and this is before Eugene everything happened. So he goes to see Gail. She tells him about the moths. I think you've probably seen that scene from the trailer if you caught up with some of the trailers. And this is the moment where Ellie decides to move out to the garage. Now she was gonna do it very impulsively. She wasn't really planning a lot, but then Joel's like, "Let me fix it up," you know. So he's trying to be better. He's trying to be better, and he's trying to give Ellie space. I don't know. Maybe he gave her too much space. I don't know. Then we have 2 years. So this is our last kind of time jump as far as like birthdays. It's 2 years later. Ellie wants to know. We see her practicing, asking Joel about Salt Lake City and what happened. We see that Ellie goes on her first patrol with Joel, and then they spot some infected, right? So they go in. We This is where we find out that it was Eugene, who's portrayed by Joey Pantaleone, Joey Pants. We see that he is bitten, and Eugene asks to just get back into town to say goodbye to his wife. Joel does not want to do that, but Ellie convinces him that they have time. But Joel seems to lie to Ellie and tell her, "Fine, we'll do it." But instead, he does end up killing him. And when they get back into the town, Joel tells Gail some made up story, but Ellie actually kind of, pulls the rug out from under him and tells Gail what really happened, that Joel killed him, that they had time. I mean, we don't know if they really had time, right? You never know with these things. But yeah, so that's the background on Eugene. We don't get any more about Eugene and the Fireflies themselves, but in this moment, all these little flashbacks keep hinting at Ellie is almost piecing it together that the events of Salt Lake City could not have happened. How Joel described them. We jump ahead back 9 months to the New Year's party. We've seen this scene, but we haven't seen it from Joel's point of view, right? He's hanging out with Tommy and Maria, and then that moment with Seth happens, and then he leaves, and we catch up with him, and we see their last conversation. And this scene, it was probably like 5 minutes long, but man, their last conversation, it is just heartbreaking, soul crushing. Both performances are just fantastic. If this is the last we see of Pedro in The Last of Us, like, just going out with a bang. And then, of course, like I mentioned, Bella Ramsey, they are so good at just all throughout. you believe that Ellie was different ages, and that is a lot. And I mean, a lot has to do with the look, but also Bella Ramsey's performance. So great stuff. And then the last scene we see here is Ellie leaving the hospital after the events of episode 5. So yeah, we're in for a banger, I think, for the Last of Us season finale. I can't believe we're already here. It feels like it hasn't really been that long. So there you have it. Let me know if you enjoyed this episode down in the comments, as always. Thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye.